as we dance. It's you and midnight. Let's leave now and get undressed. Undressed. When you look in my eyes and holding me close, I know you won't let me down. For the rest of the night until break of dawn, baby, it's the two of us. I know you won't let me down.
Yay! How's my audio? Is it on? Is my audio on? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to the Archetype Akasha community call. Today we are gathering around the 59. We call this archetype the Playmate. And as you saw in the video before, it talked all about the Playmate. So here at Unlock Your Design, we see every human being as living archetypes. So we are creating a unique library full of lived wisdom to create a multidimensional transmission filled with the stories from people just like you. Through the Archetype Akasha, everyone can find compassion for the journey. It is through our shared stories of struggle and triumph that we empower and support each other. And we find our humanity here. This is the place to be a pioneer. So join us today. I hope that you're going to share your voice and your story because it matters. And I'm sure there are people that can resonate with exactly what you went through, if not something similar to it. And let's change the world from the inside out. So I hope that you would all lift your voices today and share in the conversation, or just bring your presence to the container. So even if you're not here on video, I hope that you're here giving us your presence. And this is a safe space to share the stories. This is recorded and it will go on the Archetype Akasha for the 59, the landing page for that. It's not gonna necessarily be on YouTube. So you'd have to get into that closed container of our website to kind of view this. So just keep that in mind as you're sharing. And yeah, so if you have your video on, if you are sharing, you are giving us permission to share this publicly. And I know that this one is a juicy one, so I really hope that you don't hold back. But if you do, I respect you not wanting to share. If it's up to your discretion what you're going to share and what you're not. So I will turn it over to Corrinda, who is our Archetype Akasha librarian, and she's going to chat a little bit before we begin, give us some background stuff. So hello, Corrinda.
Hello. Well, some of you already know me, some don't. My name is Corrinda. Like Ashley said, the Archetype Akasha librarian. The reason why this container came to me, these Archetype Akashas, because I feel that we are the lived experience, and we read about the human design, we read Richard Ruddy's work, we have other people that interpret a gene key or a door or a gate, but our stories is really, you know, what we really experience, how we experience the energy and what it means to us. I have come to find that when you have your placement in a different planet, it has a different expression. And by us sharing our wisdom and our experience, we are able to assist other people in their journey, because like, especially in the 59, I feel there are a lot of people still struggling with that energy because it's a sexual energy, it's a vital energy, it gets misinterpreted. There's still a lot of shame and guilt around it. And so, yeah, tonight, maybe you can hear a little bit in my voice. I'm so excited to see so many faces, and I really hope you are all feeling comfortable to share your experience and wisdom, because I feel within this sacred container, we have a healing potential for the future and for all those that are still struggling with the 59 and the 59-6. And yeah, so let's be the pioneer and share your beauty and your wisdom in here with us. How you can do that before we start, there's a little things I can explain how it works. If you would like to share your experience and wisdom, there is on the right side below on your screen, you have this little smiley that says reactions. When you click on it, you see a smiley, clapping hands, and a heart. When you push the button raise hand, you get kind of in an order. And this way we can call out your name to share your story. And because we are with a lot of people and we would really like to hear all of your stories, do please keep in mind that you take about 5 or 10 minutes, because we've got like 1.5 hours. And to sort of kind of end this community call, I would like it to maybe even have a little discussion on the things that we have shared, so we can gather this wisdom and find maybe something even deeper and bigger than what we know now. So I hope that explains a little bit. And to call in the 59, I have to share with you that I love Rosie Aronson's Wisdom Keeper's work. I don't know if you all know it. This is the card for the 59. Rosie is a PhD. And Rosie is the PhD. She's done a lot of deep work with human design and with the gene keys. With that oracle deck, which I'm mentioning right here, there goes a little guidebook. And with the guidebook, it has like the storytelling about the archetype. So again, this is an interpretation and a view from the archetype itself. And in here, we are the archetypes. And I create videos for Rosie, and especially for tonight, I created a video for the 59 for us to share with you and to really dial in the energy of the 59. So Ashley, take it away.
As this heart opening occurs, true intimacy is born and two people meet within a single awareness. My wisdom story. My parents had a strong chemistry, but their relationship was fraught with tension and conflict. My father constantly complained about being trapped. When he went out at night, my mother would bombard him with intrusive questions and throw fits when he wouldn't fess up to his latest extramarital escape. Usually he'd go off in a huff, removing himself from family activities. But instead of sharing how excluded he felt, the whole fiasco would repeat itself. Throughout my childhood, my parents kept so many secrets and never came clean with their hurts. I was a deep, shy and introverted teen. Unlike my siblings, I could never figure out how to interact with opposite sex. It all seemed so messy. So I stayed home while my siblings dated and felt excluded like my mother. Even when they invited me along or tried to set me up, I was convinced they just pitied me and didn't want me there, so I refused. As I got older, I developed friendships with men, but was never attracted to the nice ones. When with someone I felt attracted to, usually a bad boy, I'd feel a surge of mistrust and shut down. Until I met a man I couldn't resist. Our sexual chemistry was so powerful it felt spiritual. For the first time, I fantasized about marriage and children. He wasn't a bad man, and I sincerely believed that he cared about me. But I couldn't control my fears or their control over me. To avoid losing him, I hid aspects of who I was and played games to keep him interested. I often doubted why he wanted to be with me, so I excluded myself from his social life and then felt rejection. Or when I felt him slipping away, I tried to prevent him from having a social life. When he called me controlling, jealous and dishonest, I broke up with him. It took me a long time to grieve the loss of that relationship and to feel the terror beneath the sadness and anger I'd been carrying with me since childhood. That was the beginning of a long journey towards radical honesty with myself and in my relationships. Today, my beloved partner and I counsel couples, helping them own their fears, share their truth, open their ears and their hearts to each other without pulling or pushing away. Intimacy is my greatest teacher and my spiritual path. my gift to you. It is time to come clean with the people you love. To be truly intimate, you must be totally honest with yourself and be willing to accept and express your deepest fears. Understand, when you open a door to another person, you are letting go of control and opening yourself up to being influenced on a deep emotional level. If you carry wounds from the past, as most of us do, this can be scary. Whether you fear being trapped or abandoned, do not judge your feelings. You will be rewarded with unleashed creativity, beauty and sensuality, and the wonderful possibility of communing with another human being in one field of awareness. There's no limit to what two open hearts can do together.
Wow. Each time when I even listen to my own videos, I've kind of hear like this new insight, this new feeling. So my recommendation is listen to what the 64 Doors gives, listen to what Richard says, use the book of Rosie and the cards, and this way you can get the transmission in the language that can enter you, because we all have a different love language that comes through right now. We all have a different love language, and I don't know. I kind of lost it, Ashley. So we can't hear you.
Oh, it's okay. Did you want to share anything personal before we kind of jump into the community call to kind of break the ice, or did you want to share anything?
Yeah, sure. The 59-6. Wow. I have many stories to share, and I will keep it kind of brief, but I will let you know how I came to the awareness of this energy, because I came into a relationship with a wonderful man. He is my husband right now, but we had a 10-year relationship that was secret. And when we got together, and I thought he chose for me, he was still kind of holding lines, fishing lines with other women. And then I got into human design. And this human design reader said, okay, let's take a look at your husband just for a short while. And she says, oh, he's got the 59-6. And I was like, what does that mean? And the only thing she said was, well, it's the channel of, can I fuck it? And I was like, what? So she started explaining. And so I shared it with my husband. And he said, yeah, to be honest, he says, when I go out, I've kind of just, he says, I can't help it. I just look at every woman and I kind of scan her and have the thought, can I fuck it? To be, a little bit rude. But so we were laughing about it. And then he started explaining how that felt for him, and that he did not understand why he did it. So in the beginning, when we got into human design and with the gene keys, there was a lot of shame and guilt that he had these feelings for other women while he was deeply in love with me, and he couldn't explain it. So he was blaming himself for having these thoughts of fantasies even with these other women. And then because of the human design and knowing what this energy means, we were able to open up this guilt and shame. And for me, the wound of not feeling enough, not feeling valuable, not feeling important. So taking it very personally. And there was a lot of, it took us about 2 years to really, for me to heal my wound in this, to see that it is not personal, and for him to acknowledge that it's just a part of him and that is natural, and he was given with this gift for a purpose. And so even when we were diving deeper, so going beyond only the genetics, because it's the genetics that kind of go searching who would be a good match for me, he was able to see that it also works in business. Like, he kind of scans people unconsciously, and then he just knows with whom he's got to click and with whom it's gonna work or not. And when he reflected back, he said, like, I always know that something is not going to work out, and then I'm still pushing, and you get the rejection. You know, he wanted to penetrate these persons to do business with, but he got rejected, and it was very uncomfortable for him and for the other people. So now he he trusts that his inner knowing of his vital energy and this penetration knows who to connect to and who not. So yeah, I can go on like for an hour to talk about the 59-6, but we're not here for that. So I hope this opens up for you to be able to share. And yeah, if you want to share, please raise your hand. And otherwise, I can always ask Adela to start, but I want to, but I really would like for everyone to feel free to take a breath and to dial in with self and feel what comes up for you. And please share. You're welcome. Kristen, welcome.
Hi. So I recently learned about the 59, and when I learned about it, it was really funny. I had just got into like studying my design, and I think in the Unlock Your Design group, someone had posted like a meme type thing that said like, if you have these gates, this is your role in life. And I was like, ooh, I want to know what my role is. So I start looking for what gates I have, and the only role in life is openness, and then 3 counts of the Playmate. This is my role in life. And I was like, wait, what? So I start looking at the 59, and at first I come across that it's the femme fatale, right? That's what it was said in the meme. And I was like, the femme fatale, like, what does that mean? Like, that's not me. I didn't want to own that for myself. So I started to think about it and contemplate it. And then I realized that all of my relationships have been very unconventional my entire life. And that if I were to put myself in the place of the other person, although every time I left, it was for a very good reason, and I should have left, and there's been abusive relationships and all kinds of crazy things that happened. If you asked the other party, they would probably say I was like a femme fatale. Like I came in and like did everything possible, conformed into whatever they wanted me to be to make sure that they loved me. And then eventually realized that like they weren't fulfilling and I deserved to be happy and would leave. And so it's caused a lot of drama in my life, and it was very hard for me to own that part of my personality. And so this all came about in like a really weird way. And I can't share the entire story here because it would take too long, but it did lead to like, I started to follow my my emotional authority and my sacral response, and it led to a sacral-led affair in my marriage. And it was something where I wouldn't even have admitted to myself that I was unhappy. And I still don't fully understand it because like the sex seemed good, but what it was like a compartmentalized part of myself. I wasn't owning my sexual identity. And so I had to go through this very rough and arduous path to like accept that part of myself, to accept that like I am very sexual, that it is a part of me and that it's okay, like to really let go of the good girl energy and be like, you know what, like I'm still a good girl and I'm this. And luckily for me, you know, I just was so unhappy. And then this affair happened. And to me, it meant, you know, this is the end. Like, I never would do that. This was like an identity that, again, I had to wrestle with and accept. Like, oh my gosh, am I going to love myself even if I'm a cheater? Am I going to love myself even if I'm a homewrecker? Like, yeah, I am. I'm going to lead myself through this. I'm going to follow what's best for me. And in doing that, a freaking miracle happened, and it took a long time. And so on the other side, it seems like, oh yeah, like, no, it was rough, a rough path. But what I did was continue to feel through everything that came up, continue to own my own shit, continue to take the blame and be transparent and say everything. And it was hard. Like sometimes I'd be like, I know I need to be transparent, and I still wouldn't want to say it because like, I don't want to start a fight and I don't want this to happen. And so I had to train myself to be transparent. And now, like, my husband changed into a completely different person. Like, I've been begging him to do things for 12 years, and now he's just like, it's effortless. We have this very clear energy between us. We're very transparent now. And because we cleared the energy and we're able, I'm like beyond thankful. Like, I don't think I could have had the grace for him. Like, I really don't. And so it's like meant to be, but it's been a real crazy journey.
The 59 is in my pearl as well. So I don't know where this is leading or what that means for me. But I have messed with Kundalini and had that awakening, and I love sharing it with others. And I love kind of poking other people to own that piece of themselves, because it's kind of like a split personality for me anyway.
Wow, wow, wow. I just want to give you an applause, Kristen, because yeah, that's what the 59 is all about. I'm hearing my own story, my journey with my husband, and becoming transparent, owning your thoughts, owning your feelings, and dive into them, the why and the what, and being able to share it with me creates this whole transparency. So the other person doesn't need to feel, like I shared in the beginning, doesn't need to feel that it's their fault, that they're not, how do you say that they're not giving the partner what they need or anything. It's nothing personal, but also the acceptance, maybe for you, like you shared, the acceptance that you just have these fantasies and you just have this urge, you have this Kundalini energy. It's a vital energy, and it's an amazing feeling when you have it, and when you are able to use it, it's powerful. It's so powerful. So thank you for sharing that, Kristen. It's yeah, amazing. I hope other people can feel that and can lift up on that energy and share their wisdom as well. Yay, Jennifer. Or are you just clapping? I'm just calling you out.
Clapping, but I could go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my 59 is my unconscious ascendant. So what I would say is I have attracted unconsciously a ton of sexual attention my whole entire life, like from, like super inappropriate, super abusive sexual attention, all the way to like people who I would say, when you meet somebody that's so good looking that it's almost embarrassing that they're hitting on you, like you can't even handle it. So like everywhere from like super gross, like go away, get away from me, to like super like, wow, I don't even know what to deal with this. And so I've actually really related, Corrinda, to your story about like not really having, I don't know, almost like the sexual moxie to be able to like meet men and, be like, yeah, hi. Which is interesting. I would say, having it be an unconscious ascendant, I know we don't really look at that in a lot of the places, but for me, when I looked at it, I thought, wow, that's really interesting that it's completely unconscious, and that it's sitting there is something that I'm sort of like growing into. And I would say that for myself, the more, like I just turned 50 this year, and I would say, wow, if I had this amount of sort of sexual moxie when I was like 15 or 20, oh my God, how much more fun could I have had? But I just didn't have it. I was like, oh, I'm really psychic and really sensitive. And so, when people come to me, I'm fully aware of their agenda. And then I'm sort of just, when I look at it, do you know what an abacus is? Like, I'm just doing like this, like, oh, it's like this Chinese way of like counting really fast. And that's just what happens to me when I meet somebody who's sexually interested in me, or at least up until about 5 minutes ago, this abacus would come up in my head, and I would be like, oh, what do they want from me? Do I want to do that? What do they expect from me? Do I want to do that? And so it was all about them rather than about, oh, well, hey, that looks fun. Does that look fun to me? And that was sort of the energy that I got from Kristen as well, was that, like, with this sexual energy, with this generative energy, like what is fun for me? And I know for myself in my business, when I am sexually turned on in my life, my business goes nuts. And, when I feel like a deep level of love coming into my heart and a deep level of love coming into my womb, and then that just like penetration of energy And he, you know, it's just sort of like a war on the old white man right now. And so like, I really feel like his sexual chi has been like beat to shit by everything that's going on the planet. So both of us are kind of like got our heads turned away from one another right now. So this call is really valuable to me. I'm madly writing notes on how we can possibly turn our sexual chi to one another rather than away from one another right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer, for mentioning that. I just found out like 4 weeks ago when we were in the transit that I have it in my AC as well, the 59. I was like, oh my gosh. And I literally said yesterday, we had a discussion about our sex life, because just like you and everything that is going on, and my husband having 2 businesses, there's so much to do, and we don't have any sex at the moment because there is no time, no energy. He's just tired. He's at work right now. I'm at work. And then we go to bed and go like, yeah, I love you. And we hug and kiss, but that's it. And I literally said to him, even in a discussion, because I did the test, and I will go to Adela after this, because she knows this amazing test you can do about what your sexual preference is. So we did this test. And I was like, yeah, I already know that for myself, but how do I share that? Because I do feel constricted that I don't have the 59-6 or, you know, one of the 2. So I said to him, like, even with tears in my eyes, I wish I had this desire, this fire inside of my womb that is just longing for you each time I see you. I wish I had that, but I don't. But I really would love to learn how to ignite that. And so we discussed it a little bit, and we still are tired, but at least the discussion now is open. What's for me? How does pleasure feel for me? And then knowing that I'm going towards that 59 that you just brought in, Jennifer, I go like, yay, at this age, it's still gonna come, you know. But what I did experience, and I'm not sure if it is related to the 59, but I do have Kundalini experience and awakening ever since I think about 8 years old. I have memories about 8 years old having these dreams that I didn't know what it was. I thought I needed to pee, but now I'm older. I know it's just igniting, and that is this whole wave going through your body. So thank you for bringing that up, because I would love to hear if other people in here have this Kundalini experience as well, because when I am discussing it sometimes with other people, they are afraid of even sharing how it feels. And it's like, I'm gonna say it here. It's like this full body orgasm in places that you did not know you could have an orgasm. So I wanted to bring that in. And Adela, if I may invite you to share about that test that you shared with me. It was amazing. So.
Thank you, Corrinda. And thank you, Ashley, for creating the space, and thank you all for being here. Yes, I'll start with mentioning a bit about the test, and then I'll share a bit about my story with my 59. So I'll leave the link of the test in the chat for everyone to take it after. It's a very nice theory that a woman I find very, very interesting and pioneering did. So there are 5 main sexual blueprints. Of course, each of us have a specific combination. We are just not one type. We have a blend of them. So you will see you can be a shapeshifter or kinky or sexual or sensual. And what I found amazing about it is, as Corrinda said, it's so interesting. How is it when your type might be shapeshifter, for example, that's my type, and your partner is sexual or energetic? Maybe the language, like the love languages, maybe the languages are different. So yeah, for me, it's a great resource. You have the link, do the test and play with it. And it's interesting to do it in couple, because it will really bring some clarity over there. So when I did the test, for me, it brought a lot of understanding. I have 59 2 times, my south nodes, and my north node is 55. So the 59, 55 programming partners, I have no 6. But I finally understood like the playfulness, that playmate and the shape shifting. My Mars is in Gemini. Mars is the planet of sexuality. So it's finally it made sense why I needed to play, why I needed diversity. For many times in my life, that diversity played as having multiple relationships or multiple partners, which in my case was a huge shame and guilt trip, because I'm born in Romania and we barely talked about sex when I was very, very young. So polyamory and stuff like that were seen as a complete no. So I was curious and I had to explore. So I had to do it in secret. And many years after, I found out about human design and 59, and I was like, oh, it was all there in my chart. Oh my God. My experience with 59 is very much related with 55. I always felt that sexual energy is awakening, and it awakened more and more the spiritual part in my life. Even what Corrinda was saying about feeling that Kundalini energy, I remember I felt energy on my spine. I had intimate experiences where I was just seeing trees and plants and colors being more vivid. So yeah, for me, it's that kind of energy that just wakes you up. And the gift, the intimacy and transparency of 59, I think we all have it here. So I think it's this kind of making you just enter the space of the other one, like you're in their living room, the living room of their soul. And it happens with my clients. I work as an astrologer. It's like I meet a best friend all the time. And as Jennifer was saying in the beginning, it was also like so much attention, like, oh, even if I was wearing just a t-shirt and jeans, it didn't matter. It was so much attention. And I was like, do I want that attention? What do I do with that energy? But now I feel it's a blessing to be able to create that space of intimacy and transformation. And I met people having sex all my life. That channel is amazing in bringing stuff to reality, bringing creativity. And I also feel that people having 39 have a very big effect, at least on my 55, that awakening force, that provocative force. My current partner has, my fiance has 39. We make the 39-55 channel. And when I met him, it was bliss, pure awakening of everything. So it's a nice road. And I definitely felt it on my own, in my own being, this movement from many people to finding that many voices of sensuality and sexuality in myself, and expressing them freely in one relationship. Now I'm I'm in one relationship, and we, as the story was saying, we try to work with couples and with intimacy and other people, and I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you all, and thank you for inviting me in this space. And I'm very curious to find the stories of the ones here in the living room.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adela, for sharing, your experience, and again mentioning the shame around if you're different, from what society wants us to see, to be with this one person and be in love for the rest of your life with this one person, and have sex with just one person and not experiment, and feel into your own desires and what matches and what doesn't. And I also feel that with the transparency and opening up that space, what came up just for me when you were talking about it was like, first, my husband had like all these different fishing lines, with different women, and then meeting this one, and they didn't know about each other. And then I came into his life. And when we went through this, transmutation of what true intimacy is that he was finally able to really say, I love you, just you. And before that, he said, I just did not open up my heart in a way that I am now doing with you. And I also feel there's something in that 59-6 that when you get that breakthrough, you can really get that true intimacy, which is not only about sexuality, but having these amazing conversations. I can just only speak for myself, of course, but having like talks and shares about anything. There's no taboo. There is nothing that we cannot discuss. And even if we now do not have sex, we still lie into each other's arms like this perfect harmony that sex does not define even the quality of our relationship. So I just wanted to bring that in. So I see Jeff, our first man who is willing to share. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm not used to doing this, so apologies in advance. I'm 63 and my sexuality has always been present but dormant for a long time. I married early. I put all my energies into a business, and the sexual side of my relationship with my wife, who was also my business partner, was very minimal. And only at the age of 48, when I separated from my wife, did I start looking into my own astrology in depth and going into human design and gene keys and all that. And that was partly because of the woman that I met and fell in love with, had a baby, we had a baby, a business and a new home within 1 year of meeting. And that experience, I realized, was unleashing the pent-up frustration, sexual frustration that had previously been put into the business. I had a successful travel business for 25, 30 years, and sex didn't matter to me. Although it's suppressed, I had a sexual interest working in the travel industry that is full of largely females, traveling the world, being in the presence of those females, lots of opportunities, but my fidelity was there. I don't know, you know, it's in contrast to the archetype, really. 59 is my design and personality, Pluto, line 1. I've got gate 6 is my design moon. I've got a completely open G center and an undefined heart. And the woman I'm with, and the relationship is up and down. She was invited to join tonight. She was in at the present start of the meeting, listened to the ladies that spoke and decided it wasn't for her and has left, and has since been messaging me sort of negative things, but that's by the by. She has got gate 55. And that's my channel. My sun sign is 39. It's gate 39. So I can see the connection between us. I can see all the angles. I'm not adept at explaining it as some of the previous participants have been. I think I've said what I wanted to say. If anybody wants to ask me anything, I'm happy to answer.
I'm so grateful for you, Jeff, for deciding to share your story, because it has such a value. So I really wanted to honor you just for that, for being present and being the first guy here to share and to stay with this community call. So thank you. Thank you. Ashley, I feel kind of, if you can maybe give Jeff a little bit of more information about being it in his Pluto, and we are discussing in the BBD the Pluto sign. Can you elaborate a little bit on that for him? Thank you.
So yeah, we've been diving into Pluto, and because of where Pluto is located and it being so far out, it takes a long time to orbit. And because of that, they say that Pluto is generational. So everyone born around the time that you were born has the 59. And so that's something that is being healed by that generation. Maybe you've seen it in your parents, and so you're taking that on during that time to be able to rectify that and to have that honesty and intimacy. I mean, I know that there was like the stigma of like back in the day when the men went to work and the women stayed at home, and it's like you need to make sure the house is perfect, and it comes home and the man goes out and he can have all these extramarital affairs, and the woman kind of just has to, you know, bite the bullet and stay. And because if they were religious, you know, the Catholic Church and all that stuff, I don't know why I'm bringing that in, but it just feels like the generation that you're in, you were tested, your fidelity was tested. And so your honesty and intimacy with your partner and your loyalty to your partner you held strong to that, even though you had these desires. You probably had these desires. I'm sure there was people that were beautiful and that even came on to you, but you were like, no, this isn't for me. So you're doing the healing and the generational work by you just being and having these challenges, having these things come to you so that you can show what's possible. We don't have to give in to these desires. The 59 and the 6, that whole channel, the 59 is pointing towards the emotional center, right? And I think that it's about us knowing that the act of sexuality and intimacy can be very an emotional thing. And we're desiring that emotional charge. We're desiring that connection. We're desiring to feel a certain way. And so your ability to discern and choose who you're going to be intimate with is healing everyone else, because it's in your integrity of your energy that, you know, connects to other people, and they're going to feel that from you. And you're also that role model for that. Did you mention what line your 59 was in?
One. Line 1.
Awesome. So even like the repression of that sexuality, like when you were doing your business, like being singular focused and trying to be versatile with that sexuality. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna put my energy into this, but it might, like Corrinda was saying, where they're kind of like not being intimate because there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
You know, like when you get into that routine and that rhythm, it's hard to shift out of that. But you know that when you break a bond or leave a relationship, something ignites in the next relationship to create a new rhythm, to create something different, to have that sexual energy come back up again, because it is in creative energy as well. And as you said, you're a 59.1, I'm like feeling that Kundalini energy inside of me as well. Just, it's there. We just have to be, you know, put that effort towards uncovering it. And I think it's like, I think
Adela hit it on the head before, because she said about one of the, I think it is your husband, Adela, that was full on when you first met him, and the tension was excessive. Well, I can relate to that, because that's how I was when I met Angela, who is basically the second or third love of my life, and the second mother that I've got. I've got a daughter with my first wife, and I've got a son with Angela. But when I met Angela, that first year of meeting, like any new relationship, was really over the top. I mean, I had the benefit of being a travel agent and being able to travel, and we did a lot of traveling in the space of 6 months. We'd been to America, to Cyprus, to Kos, to London. I just took advantage of the position I was in with the trade. But since that's fallen away, the relationship started to fade as well, which is it's sad, but it's part and parcel of life. And the fidelity will always be there, because although, as you said, I am attracted to lots of women, and I don't seize opportunities because I can't. I have a conscience that prevents it from happening, and that's another aspect in my chart, obviously. But interestingly, though, when I've looked into other aspects of the esoteric, and the Mayan cosmology is one of my favorites, the Mayan symbol for me is also the sexual symbol. So the sexual side of me is very there. It's very much there. Yet I choose not to spread it about. I tend to put my creativity now, that where I can't get my sexual fulfillment, I put it into development, you know, to business and ideas and creativity, art and things like that.
So your Kundalini and your sexual energy and essence is very important for your way of being.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Ashley.
You're having trouble hearing me? Let me check. Oh, can you hear me now?
That's much better.
Yeah, I don't know why it sometimes switches from my Yeti to my Mac speaker, and it's not so great.
Okay, I thought you said Yoni then.
Huh?
I thought you said Yoni.
Oh, I was just saying that I kind of want to know at this point in your life right now, and you have a partner and you're putting efforts into creativity, where do you feel like you're at with that sexuality, that sexual essence now? Do you feel like it's the same? How has it evolved? I'm kind of interested in that as well. Where are you putting that life force? Where are you putting that energy?
I'm not putting much in many places at the moment. It's quite a difficult situation, because Angela has had this awakening herself, and she's suddenly decided that her life is in Glastonbury. You've heard of Glastonbury? the heart chakra of the world in southern England.
Yeah.
And she's got herself a caravan and she's going down there every other week, fulfilling her own destiny that she feels she has to do to help the world. She's an accomplished astrologer. She's very in tune, she's intuitive, and she gets on well with people. Her job has been largely involved in sales over her lifetime. We've got a 14-year-old son, and my priority is him. I've always had a great affinity with children. I've got 3 grandkids, so I get on extremely well with. But in answer to your question, I'm focusing at the moment in trying to help Angela achieve her own dreams, because I've got the practical and technical experience, the business experience, the marketing, etc., that she hasn't. She's got the sales skills, but it's at a price to me, and I can't be selfish. I can't, because I wish her well. The fact is, if she's going to find a destiny, helping people down in Glastonbury, then if I can do anything to help achieve it, I will. As I say, it means that I will sacrifice my own sexual fulfillment for that and doing that. So we've got a very strained relationship at the moment. I wish she'd stayed on, actually. I wish she'd stayed on, because she could have spoken for herself and you could have got the other side of the picture. But I don't want to make it into a personal Jeff and Angela night. It's your presentation, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I really do contribute to these things, so thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Definitely. I asked my husband to be here as well, but he had another meeting. So unfortunately, things worked out different, but I know what you mean. When you're in this together, you can share from the different perspectives and hear the both of the voices, right? So, but you are here, so thank you again, Jeff. And then I see Tanya. Hi, Tanya. And then I see Tanya. Hi, Tanya. I know you have the 59. I'm not sure if you have the 6 as well, but please share your wisdom.
Hi all. Apologies in advance. I'm not feeling well, but I thought I'll just say hello. So yeah, I got the 59-6 is my purpose sphere. It's in my unconscious earth. And yeah, I got the 55 in my radiance. So this is interesting, like this past week, not feeling well. But yeah, it's interesting. I think it's actually synchronistic around not feeling well, because I would, even as a baby, like I had, as a toddler, I had beautiful, like long hair into my waist. And so I got loads of attention as a child, and people would say like, oh, it's ungodly for a child, like at 2 years old, to have such beautiful hair. And basically after each function, I would basically get ill. And it would take like the imam, the Muslim imam, the Catholic priest, and the Tamil priest, Hindu priest to, you know, get me well again. And so it's just been interesting that the energy of the 59, being that sort of empathic energy, somehow I'm also a manifesting generator, so I think my aura is enveloping. But yeah, it's fascinating having it open solar plexus thing around that sort of illness energy. But yeah, for me, like the 59-6. So before I came across human design and gene keys in January 2013, so I came across human design maybe 7 years ago. But a good 9 years ago, my thing was around self-validated intimacy. And because I just felt like there was this disconnection sexually with my husband. So I'm like very, it was just fascinating with the human design, provided that missing piece, because virtually I'm a 4-6. So when I was like 30, when I had my second child, I basically went on the roof. And my sexual drive just went down. And it was only like coming across human design like 7 years ago, I found out, oh, when you go on your roof, your sexual energy does drop. And it was just interesting when I tuned into it. I was like, oh, wow, you know, because I was, yeah, sort of this, you know, like high sex drive in my 20s. And yeah, so it was like a big key, you know. And so And then obviously, what's the name? Came across Jaya's work with the erotic blueprint thing. So it was like my sex drive dropped, and then I was just on this quest to get it back. Like there must be something wrong with me, you know, energy, just seeking that sort of wanting. I've never had a yang orgasm because I have had childhood sexual trauma, being molested when I was 8 years old. And then I was gang raped when I was 16 by 5 men. So even on that other level, you know, you're thinking like, wow, you know, that sort of attracting that sort of trauma, you know, at such a young age, at 8, and then sort of, you know, 16. But yeah, it was like I didn't allow myself to be defined by the trauma. So even though that sort of happened, I've always been like an outgoing person. And then I don't know who it was, but I would always attract that attention. People would say, oh, like the party gets started when Tanya arrives, you know, and it's like, oh, the minute I'm walking into the room, people say, oh, wow, when you walk into the room, you light up the space. I think somebody called me like illuminescent. And yeah, like I have had loads of men fall in love with me and saying, oh, if ever, they would say like, oh, if ever you want to have an affair, you know, have an affair with me, you know. And I've been married 21 years. So I said 21 years. And even that was like, you know, magical the way my husband and I met, of like over the phone, like, 'cause I didn't even see him. And there was just this knowingness. It was like a knowingness that he was going to be my husband. And it was this, he's got the 6, so my husband's got the 6, and then I've got the 59. And yeah, there has been this fertile energies to the point where he had a vasectomy after our second child, because I got pregnant so easily. So that sort of, you know, that sort of energy of being fertile. But like, yeah, so my husband has been a workaholic, and so his sex drive has gone right down with sort of health issues, and he's an energetic. So what we've been doing in our marriage has been cultivating that, you know, just sort of holding each other, like hugging each other for at least 30 seconds, because that releases the oxytocin. And so in my own marriage, I've been finding other ways to cultivate that sort of intimacy with, like, one of the practices we do is sort of like breathing together, like belly to belly, just sort of that sort of breathing. And so I've been exploring like other ways of intimacy that doesn't include sex, because for whatever reason, like my yoni has been a no to sort of the sort of penetration. And so I'm thinking, oh wow, and it's just been interesting, me being on the roof and being in a sort of integrating phase of the first 30 years of my life. And the first 30 years, literally the first 20 years, there was loads of trauma. And it's just sort of, it's given myself permission to slow down and to travel as fast as the slowest part of my being, and to let go of all the Hollywood versions of orgasm. So, you know, like, but what I've distinguished is that I have yin orgasms. So I get turned on by like nature, and there was this car and I was driving, and it's the shape of the car. And I just felt really turned on by the car, like the shape. It looked like a Jaguar, you know, the shape of the car. And I was like, oh, wow. And I just stood there, like, you know, breathing in the sort of energy of like, and I was like, oh, wow, this is what I get to experience. Like these yin orgasms from, you know, in the forest, or the shape of the tree, or so that's been like my exploration the last, you know, since coming across Gene Keys and the human design of really exploring, you know, other ways and letting go of this Hollywood, yeah, romantic, like, you know.
Can I
And
ask
so
you a question, Tanya? Because
Yeah.
I'm very curious now, because another client of mine also shared with me to get aroused by nature, it was in Costa Rica, and she was looking at the waterfall and the nature, and she was kind of feeling ashamed, but she shared it with me. She said, like, I got this, Kundalini awakening and getting aroused out of nature. But how did you find out if you're a yin orgasm, or is there a yang orgasm? How can we find out what we have, or is there anything you can share?
Well, no, there's two types of orgasms. So because I was so focused on the yang orgasm of wanting to experience like the orgasm with like my husband, with the penetration and the sex and things, of wanting that sort of Hollywood type of. So I haven't had a Kundalini awakening yet. You know, so mine has been more subtle, but it was sort of recognizing, like letting go of an idea of the Hollywood thing and recognizing like, oh wow, like, but I do get turned on, like, you know. And so I've, you know, like, you got the yin and the yang. And so it's like, oh, wow, I've experienced sort of feminine orgasms, which is more sort of subtle, where I do feel that sort of subtle current of feeling turned on in my yoni and the sort of energy flowing up. And also having heart orgasms. So like my heart like opens up, and I feel this opening when I'm in the forest, or particularly when I went to Mount Shasta, and like the just seeing like the beauty of the mountain, and my heart sort of, you know, open. I was like, oh wow, I'm having a heartgasm. And when I have goosebumps when somebody's speaking, and I have these goosebumps, you know, I'm like, oh wow, I've got orgasmic bumps. So I have redefined for myself what orgasm means, because you're thinking like there's 8 billion people. And so why wouldn't there be 8 billion types of orgasms? But we've been so brainwashed and so conditioned by Hollywood and, you know, all these movies, that we feel like, oh, if my marriage doesn't look the way it's portrayed in this movie, then there's something wrong with how I'm doing my relationship. And like my view is like my husband, like what our relationship is unique to us. And I was like almost, like disrespecting the uniqueness of my marriage by comparing it to some sort of Hollywood version. And the other thing is, like, for me, I've been fortunate. Marriage and freedom, because I got the 55 in my unconscious sun, has gone hand in hand. So it was interesting, like since I think it was 2009, it was like 2007, I was wanting to go on a cruise, and my husband said, oh, he's not going to go on a cruise because he's afraid of water. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, well, I suppose I will be going on a cruise by myself. And so in 2009, I went on a cruise, a Mediterranean cruise. I went to Italy and France and, all the things. And then I was like, oh, wow, I really enjoy traveling by myself. And so at least once or twice a year, I go on holiday by myself without my husband, because that's one of my abundant needs, to travel by myself. And then, it's like I would meet guys, but nothing sort of sexual in a way of like being turned on, but just enjoying that conversation, and they would sort of like, oh, wow, I've had some sort of breakthrough, or, like I've never ever spoken to anybody, like, so it was almost like, I don't know, I'm naturally like a healer or therapist. And so it's just interesting seeing how this 59-6 has been able to sort of penetrate sort of hidden barriers, and people are able to come to realizations that they wouldn't normally, and I'm just happy that my husband is not a jealous guy. I mean, I knew when I was a teenager that I wasn't going to marry an Indian man, because I'm Indian, I'm Tamil, and just seeing that, that sort of controlling energy, like it was my parents and grandparents. And so, it's been fascinating, that sort of, giving myself the freedom to not, because I was conditioned, like, you must marry a nice Tamil boy, he mustn't be Christian, he mustn't be, you know, and I was like, fuck that, I'm going to marry whoever I want to marry. And there was a sort of rebellious energy. And so that, I think that fits in with that sort of, the 55, you know, with the freedom to marry who I want to marry, and then redefining how I express my abundant needs in my marriage, and my husband's my best friend, you know, we can just talk about things, and right now I'm going through a rebirth in my marriage. You know, it's like, oh wow, yeah, it's like, because I got the cross of the sleeping phoenix, so it's recognizing like, oh wow, like you know, death and rebirth. And I was like, yeah, you know, let's accept our marriage is going through a rebirth, you know, death process, and who knows what the next few years, but let's just you know, yeah. But anyway, that's me. So happy and I feel so much better now sharing, so maybe I should just, this is mechanism sharing the story. So but big hugs, Corrinda, for inviting me, and thank you, Ashley, and thank you everybody else who shared
insights and wisdom and experience for other people to listen to. Thank you. I don't see any hands, but I do know, where is Irina? Where is she? There she is. I know that she has the 59. So I'm kind of calling you out if you feel like it. If not, that's okay. But I'm kind of wanted to know that I know. Here you go.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm still myself kind of figuring it out, because I didn't do the Venus sequence. So my 59 is in the Venus sequence. It's the IQ 59.3. So I'm still figuring out how that connects. But some things that I noticed, maybe a little bit different, it's connected maybe more a little bit to business or something, not so much to relationships, although too. Is something that came out like from the gene key is this dishonesty. And I noticed that especially as a child, for example, I used to lie, especially when I get like in a situation where I feel like pressured or under pressure or under scrutiny or under like, I don't know, like people are like, or emotionally kind of like needing to portray some kind of picture, I would get dishonest. And then I would kind of feel this, of course, this disconnect with the people. But yeah, I kind of noticed this from the gene key that I used to be almost like pressured in being sometimes like a little bit dishonest. And I read that the IQ is kind of like what you do when you get into those emotion, like into those patterns, when you kind of react, so to say, when you kind of override your emotions. So that's something I noticed, and I noticed for my business, for example, that, and also just like with relationships in general, not just like with relationship with my partner, but relationships in general, that I really hate small talk. Like I really can't bear talking with people about superficial things. I like, get me out of here. I need to get out of here. I really need to kind of talk about the story, talk about like the vulnerable stuff, talk about the, I don't know, where we connect and stuff like that. I can't like, yeah, I can't do the small talk. And I really sometimes also like, give grace to the people who can do that, but I'm like, get me out of here. And I also, noticed that in my business, my marketing works better when I share my own story. I mean, everybody says that, yeah, share your own story, but I really noticed that like I connect better with people if I like share something that is vulnerable that I went through, in terms of whatever I want to help them with at the moment. Yeah, so I'm still discovering. I'm not I'm not sure if that was so super deep contemplation yet, but yeah, I'm still discovering what it means for me.
It's all welcome there. It's all welcome. And I resonate with that small talk. And my 59 in my AC was like, yeah, that's my 59. That's your 59. Like, no small talk. I want the intimacy. I really want to share. I want to hear your deep stories, your deep thoughts and feelings and everything. So thank you for bringing that in, Irina. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for organizing this.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then we have Alison. Alison, you can share whatever comes up for you. It's all welcome.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going to come out, but I'll start. So I have 59.2 in my south node. So then I have 55 in my north. And my husband has 59.4 as his conscious moon, so his attraction sphere. And what's really where I'm really at, I just turned 50 this year, so I'm in the middle of my Chiron return. My Chiron is in the 8th house, which is all about relationships. So I kind of feel like this explosion in my world of relationships of all different sorts. I've gone through upheaval with my closest friends that I've had for 25, 30 years. And just the levels of relationships are changing. I think it's because of the 59, the dishonesty shadow has really been revealing itself to me. I've kind of realized like how dishonest I've been with myself and therefore with others. And so my relationships aren't founded on honesty and integrity and intimacy because I don't have that with myself. So I'm really noticing it externally now. And I almost feel like that energy, like all of that sexual 59 energy is almost like damaging me inside because I haven't been expressing it in the world I've been in the shadow frequency for so long, kind of grew up as a complete people pleaser. So just denied like what I always felt inside. I was like, oh, well, no, this isn't about me. And now my kids are my oldest daughter just left for college. So I feel like this space is opening up like, oh, wow, I have one less person to focus on. So there's more energy. And now I'm like, oh my God, I have to really like be honest and look. So I have like somebody else brought up the death and rebirth. That feels like very present for me. So yeah, that's been my contemplation is really just about being more honest with myself and realizing that sexual energy that's been there all along. But I grew up in the Catholic Church and, just lots of conditioning around that, deny your sexuality in Catholic school. And so that was also part of the dishonesty of just like, no, I can't do that. And I can't be that way. And what way, I don't even know, but, just even looking at like my own feelings and desires was completely repressed. So it's been a gradual opening, but really it feels like this Chiron return is kind of like shaking me and going like, okay, get really honest with yourself so then you can be honest with others and then you can rebuild your relationships on this more intimate foundation where like everything's out in the open. Like I'm honest, so I don't ever feel resentful. And other people know what to expect because I've been honest. So that's kind of where I'm at with the 59, like deep in the contemplation of it. So yeah, thank you for the space to share.
Thank you so much for sharing, Alison, and where you're at right now with your 59. We can all talk about the good stuff. But when you're kind of feeling this transition, it's also beautiful to share, because we're all going to be there at one point in your journey, right? And I love that you brought in the transparency, because before we started, I got this little note that I wrote down. And if you don't mind, I would like to read it, because for me, that really felt like what transparency is. And also in our Akasha, Archetype Akasha, and our conversation with Roxanne and Adele, transparency came forth, what it meant for us in my relationship with my husband. And this kind of came out. So I'm just going to read it. Only when you are whole within oneself, you are able to be transparent and intimate, merging with another. The word whole also means empty. When empty, another can enter fully and merge in this one single awareness. And I know maybe when I just read it, it doesn't really come in. So maybe I'm going to post it somewhere. But when I'm seeing the transparency, and like when you're whole with your oneself, but you're whole because you're empty of the fullness, the other can enter in fully, and you become this whole new one being. So that's what came through before we started this call. So thank you for reminding me, Alison. And then we've got Laila or Layla?
Laila.
Laila. Welcome, Laila.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous now. So I'm thinking my heart is on the outside. So if it's coming out, you'll tell me. I have 59.5 in Sun unconsciously. And that has been quite difficult for me to understand. I started human design, and I'm doing a little bit of gene keys just in January, so I'm very fresh. But my life has been, all my life has been around sexuality, and I think I had my first intercourse when I was 16 and a half, and I didn't understand this, but I had this tremendously energy to boys, and they just thought that they loved me, and I misunderstood the signs. So I had a lot of boyfriends when I was from 16 to 18, and I was so devastated when they just threw me away after intercourse, and I was just so sad. But now, and when I was in my youth, all my life I have had this energy to, what is that word you're saying, penetrating other people's thoughts and emotions. And I have foreigners coming to me that I don't know, telling me all their life stories and everything since I was a child. And I'm just thinking, what am I going to do with this? I have this ability, but I don't know why, and I don't know how I'm going to use this. But somehow my life has been leading me into coaching business. So now I am a coach, and I'm learning people to start loving themselves again. And it's quite wonderful. And I have been struggling with how to get the message out. And now, after human design, I've been, I've come to a place in myself that I've been better on loving me, so I can do this online, telling people how they can love themselves. And it has been very nice. I just have to breathe. And and this 59.5 has been a dreadful experience, and it's been a very exciting experience. I've been pregnant 8 times, and I have 5 children, and and I'm joking with this because when you are at the bus, I've seen this commercial one time, a lady just bumps into a guy and he asked him for his name because after 9 months, you're going to be a dad. And this is me. So, so it's been very, very funny to have all this energy. So I have been struggling a lot on how the 59.5 can be of use in other ways than sexual. And I think that I'm on the right path now. I hope so. So, yeah. It's been very, very interesting to learn why I am how I am. So, yeah, human design changed my life, really. Thank you.
Wow, Leila. So much honor and respect for your vulnerability and you pushing through even though you were nervous and everything. I have to hold down my tears now out of the love that I feel from you coming right now. It's like this amazing energy that even comes through the camera, and I've got tears in my eyes and they're real. And what came up for me as well when you shared was you brought in the energy also from loving yourself, really accepting and loving yourself and then penetrating others with that love for the self that comes up for me. I don't know how you feel about that, Ashley, but that will really came through for me. And I think that is the answer to your own question. But I would love to hear Ashley's thought about that, what she felt. Thank you so much, Leila.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to share. I really respect and honor your own transparency and bringing your full self to the table, even when it was difficult and the emotions were coming up. But yeah, intimacy with yourself, loving yourself, it's perfect. Everything is exactly the way it should be. And I think that you're also learning the 59.5, there's a lot of power in that life force and that sexual energy. And so if we don't have boundaries and love ourselves, then we'll get taken advantage of, or we'll use it as a manipulation tactic, or we'll be manipulated by it. So I think when you are so deeply in love with yourself and intimate with yourself, then you have that healthy sexuality, life force boundaries, and people are not going to be able to penetrate, in any way, because you love yourself so much. So I love the journey you're on, and you're very, very sweet energy and soul. So I'm so glad that you turned on your camera and shared.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Thank you so much. I'm seeing Jonathan for a while now, and I'm not sure if it's the Jonathan that I did the interview with, because I do not recognize the picture. So if Jonathan, if I can call you out, if not, just let me know.
So we did, Corrinda did a couple interviews she mentioned Roxanne, we have Jonathan, and who was the other person that you had an interview with, Corrinda? You're muted though, you're muted.
Sorry. Roxanne and Adela was like a threesome.
Yes.
And,
ooh la la.
Oh, la la. Yeah, it was very spicy and sweet. Our conversation was very beautiful. And we had Hanneke. I hoped she would be here, but she is not. We really talked about the boundaries also, having the boundaries with the 59.6 and setting the boundaries when you feel the energy around you. She really shared about that she even senses the 59 energy in the field for others within her work, because this energy is so much broader than just the penetration and the sexuality. So I really... Yeah, you've got to watch that interview as well. And with Jonathan was amazing as well. A lot of openness in relationships and how this work for a man. What also comes up for me in this call, and which I'm a bit curious about, and maybe somebody can share a little bit about their insight or feelings about that, is that when you have the 59.6 as a woman, or a 59.6, or just a 59 as a man, I do feel a little bit of difference. Also thinking back of the interviews, is that the 59 feels easier for a man to play with than for the women. And maybe that's because of, the society. But I don't have any opinions about it because I'm very open-minded. But I would love to hear some thoughts from you girls and guys about how it feels for you as a man and the things that you have heard in this container, if you have any reflection on that. So if possible, I would like to invite that question.
We have Kajela as well, who is going to share. And if you're interested in the other interviews, they're inside of our Portals of Deconditioning course for the 59, and we have a coupon code for you guys to get that. It's normally 44. I don't remember off the top of my head how much % we took off, but you can click on that if you're interested. There's a teaching about the 59. There's a workbook. There's meditations. There's the interviews, that the Archetype Akasha interviews that Corrinda mentioned. So if you're interested in checking that out, it's in the chat. And I would love to have Kajela share. You can answer Corinda's question or bring in whatever it is that you're wanting to, but I'd love to hear.
I thought I would just insert the opposite view of somebody who does not have the 59-6 and how it served me, especially in my career, because it allowed me to not run sexual energy at work. And because I had a 35-year career as a projector working as an assistant to the CEOs, it was really important that I hold my ground, and I can stay in the vibration of the male energy on the executive suite, and so I saw it as really helpful in a career, but when I'd have to switch gears before I'd get home. So I would have to pull over my car like a block or two from home and just kind of empty myself of my, being in my head and wearing my career hat. And then when I'd get home, I'd have to like sneak into the house and drop my briefcase and put on my play clothes because it helped me switch out of my, I'm in this power to now I want to, hug my kids and, connect with my husband. So I needed to do that transition to kind of allow my femininity and my sexual energy to kind of warm up. And be more intimate with my kids and have the conversations and get dinner ready and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought that I would add that little piece. And the other thing is I brought in my tone and my color, which is touch. So when I wanted to, fulfill my role as a wife, and also have some intimacy for my own fulfillment, I had to always kind of remind my husband to, like when I'm washing the dishes, come behind me and kind of, hug me, kind of start the evening igniting my senses and my need for touch and conversation. Don't just come to me, after I've already gone to bed and say, I want to have sex kind of thing. So that might be something that's helpful to some other women on how to bring the intimacy back is go look at your color and your tone and see, are you a touch person? Are you somebody that needs the music, the sound adjusted, and put on the music in the bedroom or play it, whatever. But you might find that helpful to know what your husband's color is and what yours is and use those superpowers to kind of get your Kundalini running. So I just thought I would just add that because I know everybody has a bit to look at the other side, how those of us who don't have it have to actually work to remember that, oh, that's right, I'm a woman. Oh, that's right, I really enjoy eating food and making noise when I'm eating food and kind of just get into, oh my God, that tastes so good. And have people kind of stare at you like that movie, when Harry Met Sally. I'm one of those people that I'll sit at a table and forget as I'm, engrossed in the food that I'm making noise and making comments about, oh my God, this is so delicious and blah, blah, blah. And then realizing other people are going, oh, you're doing this differently. You're not supposed to make all those noises when you eat. So I just thought I'd share that because that's part of the fun and the playfulness that can go with getting into sensuality. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kajela. I felt the sensuality, like when the food, like, yeah, yummy and everything. It's like sex, right? So thank you for bringing that in. I loved it. Adela, you again. Love to hear you.
Be short.
No,
don't
worry.
I I just wanted to say I'm impressed by the sharings of everyone. It's like, this is 59. And when Kajala was speaking, I saw on her ball, it writes ignite on the blue board. It was like igniting. So I wanted to answer something related to what you asked about the channel. From my experience with my clients, usually it's a bit more provocative in women that have the whole channel 59-6 than men that have the channel. I feel it's a very type of penetration energy. So for men, it's like they go there, and all the women that see men having 59-6 go like, wow, he's here. But for a woman, it might be, at least how I saw it in the charts of my clients, it might be a very dual kind of message. It's, you know, opening the door and having that energy, but then they are the one who choose when intimacy happens. So it's like a very, ongoing and inward going in a way, intimacy. So that's how I saw it playing. But yeah, firstly, I wanted to share that I'm really impressed how you use your ascendant, Corrinda, creating everything that's here, and also Ashley having 6. I'm really happy for seeing this happen. It was in my dreams when I started working. I was like, oh, I hope this will happen one day, and I'm living the dream. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Adela, also for your reflection. Yeah, I feel that push and pull, what you're saying. That's why I brought it up. I felt like for a woman, because of the conditioning in the society, that it's this push-pull, like you want it, you feel it inside you, but also the power that women have if you want to be penetrated or not. And I do feel, but sorry if I'm being like, I don't have the word for it, but you know what I mean when I say it, that men will just go for the penetration because they're men. But no, but I don't want to insult anybody or anything. It's just something that I see in the world. So thank you so much, Adela. And Ashley, you also wanted to share, and I asked Cynthia if she wanted to share as well. So one of you can go.
Cynthia, do you want to come in? You have the 6. No, you don't want to come in.
I don't mind to come in, but I do have the 6. I don't have the 59. And if you've got something to say, I'd love to hear it.
I have the 6.
If you want
too.
to hear about the 6 afterwards, I'm happy to share.
How about you share, and then I can finish, since we both seem to have the 6. So maybe we're like bringing in some kind of thread here with having the 6 but not the 59, because I don't have the 59 either.
Okay. So the 59 came to me, I hope you can hear me, through the 6. Because my 6 is the only gate I have in that emotional center. And so it really was a very playful, intimate, and free experience of my barriers of my 6. So it allowed the barriers to actually bend and just kind of melt away. And yeah, my relationship now with my husband, it cracked my relationship with my husband beautifully. And we're very much on an intimate, on both sides of things, relationship. Like Corrinda with talking about any topic, nothing's off the table, ever. And any attraction or desire or anything like that is on the table when I feel like it or he feels like it. So it's very mutual. My husband does have the 59. So I think we kind of create that gate. But it definitely cracked all of my 6 walls, my 6 barriers, where for 20 odd years I had to play mother and have the boundaries and instigate that and show a certain way to my children, because parenting was very important. And now it's just the 2 of us. It's like we're being intimate for the first time, even though we're 25 years down the road. So 59 was extremely powerful for me through my cracking of the 6. That's my share.
Wow. That's why I wanted you to bring in this wisdom, because it's very powerful. Thank you, Cynthia. And actually,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree about, there's something about the 6, and I have it in my life's work, and I have the 36. So inside my emotional center, I have the 6 and the 36. And the 36 sphere is penetration. And I've always had a really tough time in my relationship with my husband until recently, because what I'm realizing is, so for those of you that have the 59, but you don't have the 6, and you're wanting the penetration and you're wanting the intimacy, there's something about the 6. The 59 can break down those barriers and walls, but it has to do it in a tactful way, and it has to do it in an appropriate way, because the 6 can be really strong with their boundaries and be like, nope, I don't feel anything. My yoni says no. My body says no. Don't touch me. And it's because the 6 has a lot to do with the pH and something about the aura. If somebody comes into my aura and it feels yucky, I'm like, no, get away from me. Like, you need to get away from me. And my husband has the 35. And so the channel we have is the 35 and the 36. And his hunger is this immense sexual hunger. So he has always been pursuing and trying to penetrate me. And it's so crazy to be the one like having somebody chase you. And because he hadn't owned and taken ownership for his own stuff that he had in his energy, my body always said no, 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 no. And recently he went on this men's retreat. After I went on a retreat, it was kind of that like breaking point between us, where it was like, I'm going through this door. If you don't come with me, then it's kind of like, I can feel that it's going to like break. Our relationship's going to break apart. And we didn't say that explicitly, but energetically you could feel it. And so he rose to the occasion, and he found his own mentor. And when he went on his retreat this last weekend, he told me right before he left, I'm so tired of pursuing you. I'm so tired of you rejecting me. I'm so tired of me being the one to come to you. I want my needs met. And he was like, very like, it's like a boundary. Like, he's like, I'm not chasing you anymore. And I felt so insecure, because what I had learned is I have the 59.2 in my sidereal. And so I've had a lot of interesting experiences and sexual experiences where I didn't give consent, and people were doing very perverted and explicit things in front of me or asking of me. And so I've been kind of like, why is this happening to me? And I've been using my sexuality as power and manipulation for so long, because it got me what I wanted. And with my husband, I'm like, I would constantly push him away and reject him and say no, because I didn't like all of the emotional energy. He has the 22 and the 47, which is all about honoring your emotions and taking ownership and responsibility. He wouldn't do that. And so he'd project a lot of things on me, like, you're the blame of this, this, and this, and this, a lot of naming, blaming, and shaming. And then finally, when he went into this mentorship program, he's like, I'm so sorry. He came clean about so many things, even infidelities, because he has such a huge sex drive. And I'm like, I forgive you. You feel like a completely different person. Let's work together on this. Anyways, he went to the retreat with that boundary set. And when he came home, it's like I had not been connected to my sex drive, my sexuality for so long, because I had 4 kids. My boobs were desensitized. My vagina was desensitized, because you're breastfeeding, you're pushing out babies, and it's like just motherhood. And I'm here all the time. I don't get to leave the house and like be me again. And he came home, and I was like, oh my fucking God, I really want you. And I'm like, I have never felt this in our relationship. And it was me pursuing him. I'm like, I feel so needy. And he was like, I don't know. He was just in his energy, in his space. He did a lot of emotional release. He cried the whole weekend. It was like 32 guys bawling their eyes out, talking about their lives and like being very, very intimate with each other. And then he came home like super cleansed and amazing. And I'm like, you feel super good to me. And that just reinforced this whole 6.5, the boundaries, the pH, and the protection mechanism that I was trying to preserve the integrity inside of me. I didn't want to be penetrated. I didn't want anyone to release their pent-up frustration and stuff through seed, sperm, like energy penetration. So I would say no. But as soon as that energy is clean, there's so much attraction, because it's like, wow, you're clean and this feels super good. So I'm at a really amazing place in my relationship now, because I feel like my senses are awakening to that sexuality that because I'm in a monogamous relationship. And when you're with somebody that is not cleaning up their shit and owning their shit, then it's like, I don't want that intimacy. And now that he's doing the work, I'm like, wow, there's that intimacy again. So I just wanted to bring in the testament of the 6.5 and kind of like what happens with that whole connection and channel. Even though he doesn't have the 59, I feel like what we meet is the 36 or the 35 and the 36, that whole channel of transitoriness. So yeah, that's good. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Also just bringing in the last moment of 35, 36, because I have that. And when I looked back on the, you know, the 59 and 6 with my husband and me having the 35, 36, it was like, yeah, sure, we did this experimenting because, yeah, in the interview with Adele and Roxanne, I'm sharing a little bit about my own private life and the experimenting on the sexual level. And yeah, it is that experimentation. And also, like you shared, Ashley, what I felt when you don't clean up your act. And that's exactly what I felt with my husband as well. I was not able to have the intimacy with him. There was kind of this rejection in that. I don't know if that is exactly what you mean, but I kind of felt that it's like this, you don't want to have that energy around you when it's not clean, something like that. Yeah. So thank you for reminding me. Also others.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna post in the chat the 59th Akasha, so that if you want to check out the replay, you can. I'll also send an email. And there's one more thing. Oh, we're going to have another Archetype Akasha in October. So October 20th, we're going to have a community call, and that one's going to be for the Maestro, which is Archetype 50. It will be in transit. It will be alive at that time. And so it's going to be even more potent, even though the 59 is not here. We're bringing it alive with this container. But in October, we'll be talking about the 50. So if you're wanting to sign up for that, I'll put the link there, and then I'll remind everybody in the email as well.
Just shared it.
So okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So I see Tanya's hand up. If you have it in short, it's something that you wanted to share, because we are over 1 hour and 45 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, just short, something short. My husband's got the 6 and he's got it in his Pluto, both. And one of the key things in our marriage has been consent, because so me having the 59, he would feel overpowered by my sexuality and feel almost violated, you know, not violated, but so one of the things for him having he's got Jinky 6 in his Pluto has been consent of for example, like me asking his, you know, he would say like, oh, can you know, give me a heads up if you're gonna like hug me, because he would almost feel he was sort of sensitized. And so so I just wanted to bring in the thing about consent, particularly if like I'm the 59 6, and so my energy can be very strong, and he's a manifestor as well, so he's got this sort of aloof energy, but in his Pluto. And I just wanted to bring in where to go through a phase of like hey, you know, I need a hug right now. Can I give you a hug? So it's like, and then him saying no, you know, like like playing around with the no, and recognizing like, oh, well, I can hug myself, you know, again, that self-validated intimacy. And I just wanted to bring that in with the 6 to sort of keep that that peace energy, you know, the flow between in the relationship, because the 59 can like be provocative with the wanting that sort of conflict energy to sort of bring that sort of animal sexual energy up. So I just wanted to bring that into the space. So big hugs, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. So do we have, I'm just seeing shifting all these cameras. I'm like, whoa. We are with a smaller group now because we're running kind of late, not late because we have time, but because there was so much shared. And I really want to thank you all for that, for your sharings. I saw Louise coming in a little bit late, so he didn't feel like sharing yet, but maybe next time, or maybe now. You know, we've got a few minutes. But if there's anyone who would still like to maybe respond to something that they've heard, something that they've learned or gained insight on in this call, I would really love to hear that feedback if you have any. And if not, that's okay as well. But I'm just giving the space and the breath for it. So.
Yeah, and it'll be like 5 minutes. She's a 4/6, and 4/6s don't like to cut, and I'm a 5/1, and I will be like, it's time to go. So
true.
Yeah, if you want to type in the chat, if you want you can even like say thank you or bye when we leave as well as you're exiting. That's beautiful as well. So
yeah, just open your mic.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say thank you. I'm so glad that I showed up today. It kind of felt like my placement was maybe not, it's not my son or anything like that, but I really did learn a lot. And the questions that I've been asking inside the container of the business by design do have a sexual component to them. I'm like, okay, well, where do I get to be the candy for my clients? And, so this sort of sexual energy has been really present through this year, especially. I've been doing a lot of healing on my body, and I really do notice that, there's a lot of projection in that 59 energy. And, when it gets projected at me, my 6 is like, no, like super F you no. And so to just notice, that energy, that 6 is what's shutting down maybe something to do with my business. And so we just finished looking at the Pluto, but I'm going to go back and have a look at it again, because it's got to be that 6 energy that's shutting off the business lights. So thank you very much, you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your reflection. And definitely Pluto is a thing. Anyone else? I feel at ease and I breathe, and grateful for this beautiful container and for you all staying, sharing. Yeah, I just feel love.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your transparency, and we appreciate your participation as well, and your presence. So again, wonderful call, and we hope to see you next time when we go into the Maestro, which is the 50. And we'll send you an email when the replay is available and ready if you were a little bit late. So thanks for being here and being pioneers of this new kind of Akasha that we're building. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much love, everyone. Till next time.
Much love.
Thank you.